Welcome back, everyone. My name's Wade. This is Bourbon Hall, and if you're looking to have a bourbon get-together or a tasting or a bottle share, here's a few recommendations that you should consider. Let's check it out. All right off the bat, I just appreciate you guys checking this video out. Before we hit to the tips, I would appreciate if you hit that like, comment down below, subscribe if you're not. There's gonna be a few videos. I'm gonna be doing an educational series that I hope it can be helpful for someone. For me, about 5 years ago, would have been real helpful if I had this type of education, so I'm gonna be putting those into place. But this video is primarily for a get-together. So if you guys could do that for me, I appreciate that. Also, if you want to support me, you could purchase some merch onto my merch store that should be in the description. Also Patreon. There's a lot of fun perks there that I'm trying to build a community there. Check that out as well if you will. But let's get to the list. All right, so the first thing that I really wanted to talk about is the whiskeys that I would provide to my friends when they come over just to try. Now this wouldn't be in the same scenario as a bourbon bottle share or a whiskey share, because that means that usually in those occasions you bring a few bottles of your own to a conglomerate of people, and then you guys get to share the bottles, which is awesome. So this first part is if you're hosting and you're not having a lot of people bring stuff over. So here are some of my suggestions of kind of genres that I think are important if you're going to be hosting. Okay, so some bottles that I want to, when I have friends come over, most of my friends are not bourbon or whiskey forward. They've had a little bit, they dabbled a little bit, but they don't know a whole lot about it. So start easy. Something easy. Yeah, it's Travelers, but it is a nice blended, easy drinking whiskey. This is something for them to wet their whistle and start to get acclimated, into it. Anything a lower proof, an 86 Old Forester, some things like that, would probably be beneficial to start with, just so that they can kind of start warming their palate up. Next, I would look at something a little bit different, a finish of some sort. Now, I'm not exactly suggesting these bottles, but it's something that's a nice start, right? Something that's approachable, easy. This rosé cast from Penelope, but there's a lot of finishes out there that can show the differences that you can get from a lot of different products. And I think that that's good. A lot of my friends like some of the Penelope finish things, the toasted barrels, etc. Something else, something a little bit different that has more oak in it. So maybe you can explain to them, okay, so this has been in a secondary barrel. It's been added to, add more richness, flavor, color, expense. Right? So something like this, simple, cheap, things that they can most likely get depending on where they are. That's kind of the third range, right? It's a finish, but it's more just bourbon forward oak, something that just consider. So a double oak Woodford Reserve would be another great option here. Something, my daily drinker, right? Rare breed. This is something that most of them may or may not have had. But if you are like a lot of my friends, Wild Turkey has a bad name in their heads. And those are usually from bad experiences in high school / college. And that's Wild Turkey and it wasn't drank the proper way, blah, 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 blah. Rare Breed, on the other hand, is a delicious pour, and it's something that you can find about anywhere. So I try to turn a lot of them on to this and try to coach them through some of the flavors, the cherries, even a medicinal cherry note, oak, vanilla, things like that they may not be able to pick up. So this is a good general starter one. Another one is just your standard big boy Weller. Now, where I come from, this is harder to find, but down in Kansas, I can not find it. It's everywhere. And so this is one that's I say, hey, here's some ice cubes, here's some glasses. Go after it, boys. At 90 proof, it's pretty accessible. It's a weeder, so it's a little bit different. And it's a good introductory into that type. There are also things like single malts that I try to put out. There's a few people that are more into Scotch than they are into bourbons or other whiskeys. This is an American single malt. I have a few Scotches and a few Japanese ones. I just don't have them here right now. That is something that I consider when I'm building a table for my friends to try. Obviously, after they try a few of these, we kind of go and search around and play around and see something that they haven't had or something they've had and they want to revisit. Because sharing is caring, right guys? Next, I'm gonna suggest some tips if you are hosting that aren't bourbon related. All right, so a lot of the people that are coming over probably are interested in drinking some whiskey, but if they're not, it's always nice to have some other things that are sippable and quite enjoyable, but they're not whiskey. So one thing I would encourage is checking out a nice tequila, reposado, or a blanco, and that gives opportunity for people that are even interested in whiskey to try something else that's not whiskey, change the palate up on them a little bit from time to time. Something like this is a beautiful tequila, $50 around me, and I think it's something that is great for everyone, but it's sharing, so we can do that. I also encourage, things like gins to sip on, but also to make cocktails, because not everybody likes whiskey. And if they don't, you don't want to, just push them out and say, hey, you're not allowed here, because I've got friends that with all kinds of different tastes. So just consider that when you're making or bringing people in for a bourbon tasting or a whiskey tasting, that some friends may just not find the palate that you're hoping that they find. Another and one of the most important suggestions that I have for any time you are hosting a get-together of any kind involving alcohol: water.
It's clean, it's cold. Now that's what I call high quality H2O.
Make sure you have lots of nice cold water bottles or refillable things, whatever. Make sure that you keep your guests hydrated as well as you, because it can get sloppy really fast when you have people that aren't used to drinking just hard liquor, and yeah, it can catch them really quick. So make sure you push this after every drink or so. But yeah, so usually how I set it up is I put a table out and I just set out a bunch of different alcohol that I think is an appropriate way to start the day, start the sharing process, and put that right next to the water bottle. Water's important. And then I put some ice and some glasses down and just let them go. And then once they get acclimated into sipping a little bit of alcohol, that's when we start approaching different distilleries and educating that way, because most of the friends are really interested in finding out different historical things or different, what makes a bourbon, what makes a single malt. So we go through that as well as we taste. That's kind of the fun thing. So another thing I would say with all of that, make sure you're educated on that process a little bit, because they're gonna ask questions because they think that you're gonna be the expert. So make sure you're ready for education. All right, so that's if you're hosting. Next, if you are going to a bottle share. Now, if some of you don't know what a bottle share is, it would be, hey, we're getting a group together, we're gonna go down to Fred's house or whatever, and we're doing a bottle share. So a bottle share is exactly what it seems to be. It is, you get a few bottles, you go down and you share everybody else's bottle. So here are some of my suggestions for if you're going to go, what to bring. All right, this should go out with said, but it depends on who's at the bottle share. If you don't know any of these people, it's probably one of those things that you might want to play it a little closer to your cuff. I wouldn't bring the Pappy Van Winkle 23, but that's up to you. If you want to do that, by God, I love you. And yeah, let that hog hang out, man. Whew! And either way, so some things that I would consider when I'm going to a bottle share. Right off the bat, I think of something that's new that some people may have not picked out. For example, this Redwood Empire Devil's Tower, it's a high rye bourbon, and it just came out recently, so maybe not a lot of people have tried it. That is something that I think might be interesting to people, and it won't kill me if they drain the bottle. Another thing I would consider is something like a Russell's Reserve Private Barrel, right? It's something that is very specific and special to this barrel, and so a lot of people may have had similar products, but they may have not had this exact barrel, and we know that from barrel to barrel, it can be considerably different from time to time. So something like this could bring a lot of interest just to the group, because you never know if this barrel is better than yours or worse. So you're always willing to try it. Next is a local or hidden gem. Now, I am not exactly local, or it's maybe not even a hidden gem, but a lot of people probably haven't tried this. So you can start trying to educate, hey, this is out of Missouri, I'm in Nebraska, it's not that far away. And this rick house is pretty dang solid. And so that would really encourage a lot of people to try something that maybe they haven't tried to, or maybe they even put their nose up because it was a Missouri bourbon. So something for education purposes, but also to show them that it's a damn good. Something else I would consider is that if they are good friends, or if it's just that kind of place where you know there's going to be bottles that are actually pretty pricey and hard to get, then you do your part and bring something that is delicious and also hard to get. Because sharing is caring, people, and that's what it's all about. Even if you don't like some of those guys, and you know who I mean, sometimes they bring good bottles and you should show respect through that. You know what I mean? All right, so that's kind of how I would bring stuff to a bottle share and what I would consider. Now let's talk about etiquette at a bottle share. Hey, it's a bottle share. It's awesome. Don't pour yourself 4 ounces of someone's pappy, all right? Ask nicely, oh man, that's so great. Can I have a small pour of that? Well, sure. I brought it to share it, is what they'll usually say, which is awesome, and respect to those people. But don't be crude and rude, right? Just take your little sample and be appreciative that you gotta try something that's really hard to get, okay? And also, drink water. Nobody likes that sloppy friend that starts talking about his ex-wife at 8:30 in the afternoon, or at night, and continues to go on to about his next ex-wife and how he lost the house. Nobody wants that conversation, all right? Stay slightly buzzed, but drink water. Please, please don't be that person. Lastly, enjoy. Share some of your sources if you got it, but don't share them all, because some people can't be trusted no matter how nice they seem, okay? So go enjoy yourself at the bottle share. If you're hosting, just try to follow some of those tips. If you have other tips that have worked for you in the past and you think that other people in the community should know, put them in the comments down below. I would appreciate to know because, hey, we can all learn, right? Appreciate you guys checking this out. My name's Wade, this is Bourbon Hall, and until next time, let's share some good whiskey, huh? Peace, guys.